All right, early 2023, and the market's starting to warm up a little bit. Buyers are starting to show back up. Interest rates trending downwards. And what that means is, more than likely, we get into spring, we're going to have a typical spring. It's going to be active. So the question is, if you are selling your house, what can we do to take advantage of this market? Put yourself at the top of the market. Put yourself in a position to maximize all the buyers that are out there. We got 6 tips for you. Let's break them down. This is Steve, Malone Realty Group, EXP. All right, the end of 2022 was quiet. If you're looking to sell a house, you had to do a lot of jumping through hoops. It's going to be a little bit easier this spring. However, we are going to give you 6 tips. We go over these every couple of years or so. We're going to do it again this year. And try and kind of give you a little nuance as far as where the market is right now and why it's important right now. But if you do these 6 things, there's no guarantees, obviously. It all depends on location, all depends on price, all depends on all those things. And we're gonna talk a lot more about price at the end of this. But before we come out there, before you kind of get the ball rolling, whatever, let's say you look across the table at your wife, your husband, your significant other, whatever, and say, we are going to sell the house. Okay? What do we need to get done? Play this video. 6 things to keep in mind as you get ready. Here we go. Let's get your house ready to sell. The number one thing we're going to do when we get the house ready to sell is depersonalize the house. I want you to put yourself in the mind of a buyer. If you're a buyer and you're looking at a house, it's all done up nice, brand new construction house, let's say, looks great. No pictures on the wall. You can picture yourself here and there, things like that. You can picture yourself in the living room, in the bedroom. I'm going to put this here. I'm going to put that there. All of a sudden, there's a picture of grandma on the wall, or a picture of all the grandkids, or a picture of the family, or a picture of what little Susie did in art class, or all these little things. They're all great. I love them. I have 6 kids. I got all kinds of stuff up on my walls in the house. I'm not selling my house, okay? When you're selling your house, you have to keep in mind, we are staging this house for people who are going to buy it. We want a clean slate. We want people to walk in the house and start thinking to themselves, I'm putting my stuff here, I'm putting my stuff there, I'm putting this and all over the place, okay? I am moving into this house. So we have to begin by saying this house in a couple months is not going to be our house anymore, okay? We're going to move. We're going to have a new home somewhere, but it's our home somewhere else, whatever. This is no longer going to be our home. It's now become a house, okay? We've got to stage it accordingly. It's a hard thing to talk about. It's a hard thing to get through to our sellers. For us personally, we sold our house a couple of years ago. It was hard for us to really take down a lot of stuff. But the reality is you're going to be moving a lot of stuff anyway. Go ahead and take it down off the walls. Because if we start taking some of the stuff down on the walls, it's going to help us with some of the stuff we're getting ready to talk about in the next steps. But the first thing I want you to do is we're thinking blank slate. We're thinking of a very neutral house to present to buyers, okay? Talk to us about one of the things I talk to my people about is if there's a picture here or a picture there or what, to me, I don't think that's as big of a deal. But if you've lived in the house for 40 years and you have pictures of every grandkid going up the stairs, and then you turn the corner, you've got your wedding pictures of all your kids, and then all right, that's a little much. Okay, we need to dial that back. Okay, if a picture here, a picture there is okay, the best thing is let's just completely depersonalize the house because we want to set ourselves up. We want to be neutral for the buyers that are coming in. So start there. What can we take off the walls? Because we're going to move anyway. What can we take off the walls to make this a neutral house? Then we get into number 2. Okay, number 2. We're going to declutter. Let's have a conversation. All right, honestly, between me and you got a lot of stuff in your house you don't need. I got a lot of stuff in my house that I don't need, okay? We've got too much stuff. It is what it is. But think like this. If you've got a 2,500 square foot house, 3,000 square foot house, 3,500 square foot house, whatever the square footage is of your house, where you want to be is you want to put yourself in a position where you squeeze every single one of those square feet out, okay? Like we said earlier, you're going to be moving anyway. If it does not serve a daily need for you and your family, and if our stager says it's not necessary, we're going to get it out. We can put it in the garage, we can put it in the basement, put it in grandma's house, put it in a storage unit, doesn't matter, okay? But we want to get through, I'm thinking things like in bedrooms, you're talking about little foot lockers at the end of the bed, in the living room, if you've got two couches and a chair and another love seat and we're going to thin some of that out, okay? Again, that's something our stagers can help out with as well, giving you an idea. But just as you're looking at it, think about it. Do I really need 6 couches in my living room? Okay, just thinking like that. The fewer couches you have, the fewer tables. Think about this too, dining room table. If you don't need the leaf in it, take that leaf out. Make it a smaller table. Room looks bigger, okay? We want to start thinking like that. If there is a way to condense space or condense our things to give more space, we're going to do that, okay? Think about that. Because there's going to be a difference. I promise you, when we were looking at our last house that we bought, you know, 5 years ago or whatever, and it being like a 3,000 square foot house, we got a gigantic family, now 6 kids. There's a difference between some houses that are 3,000 square feet and some other houses that are 3,000 square feet. Because some people think to themselves, I'm going to jam as much junk into this house as possible because that's how comfortable I am. And if that's your house, that's great. Okay? You can live like that. If you're looking to sell your house, though, and get maximum dollars for the house, get it done quickly, we're going to declutter. Okay? So think that. So in addition to getting all the stuff off the walls from the depersonalizing, we're going to start taking some stuff out of the house that doesn't need to be there. Like that statue in the front of little, I don't know, like Cupid Valentine thing with the wings or whatever kind of stuff you got in the house. If it doesn't serve a purpose and our stager says it's got to go, just take it. It's got to move anyway. Let's go ahead and get it moved. Let's help stage the house, make it look a lot bigger than it is. The buyers will appreciate it. It will create a better spot for the buyers, and it will result in a better viewing for the buyers. It's going to help you get offers a lot faster and better offers. That's number 2. So number 1, depersonalize. Number 2, we are going to declutter. Let's get some stuff out of the house. All right, now that we have decluttered, now that we have depersonalized, the number 3 thing that we're going to do is we're going to paint. Now, from the depersonalizing, taking stuff off the walls that didn't need to be there, you may have to patch some holes, things like that, and then you can paint over those holes. But I want you to think, this room, when was the last time we painted this room? Whatever room it is, doesn't need to be painted. It's a pain. Nobody likes painting. But from a cost perspective and from a wow perspective, it is the biggest money to wow ratio thing that you can come up with, okay? Painting is amazing. It will have an amazing impact, okay? So especially if you have very strong colors. If you have very strong colors like a very loud burgundy in the dining room, very loud green in the bedroom, we want to mute everything down, okay? Agreeable gray was the color a couple years ago. It's not agreeable gray anymore. It's really, it's a light, but it's really more of a beige or even a light blue, a light green, but think light. Okay, and we don't, not necessarily light blue like baby blue. I'm talking light like as in very pale blue, very pale green. Again, this is something our stager can help you with as far as figuring out what colors, but those are colors that we're talking about. Very neutral, but a little bit of character to it. But I want you to think, put yourself in the mind of a buyer. If you go into a house freshly painted versus a house that hasn't had walls painted in the last couple of years, you start to make assumptions about that house. Not only does the house look nicer when it's freshly painted, but you start thinking to yourself, oh my goodness, they haven't painted this room in 5 years and there's scratches all over the walls. What else have they not done? Okay. Whereas you go in and the paint's kicking and people are like, oh. So you've already got all the stuff off the walls, very open house because you decluttered. All of a sudden you got some paint done. Great. Cool thing about paint is you can pick a room a weekend. Okay. Let's say you're not going to sell until March. We're recording this the end of January. If you're not selling until the end of March, you got 2 months. That's 8 weekends. Pick a room a weekend. Just boom, 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 boom. Done. Or let's say there's a couple rooms you've done. There's a couple rooms you really want to focus on. Knock those out. Okay? But keep that in mind. Look at the room and say, does this room need to be painted? It's so cheap. It's a lot of elbow grease. It's a lot of work to do. But from a cost perspective, it's the wow factor. It's the big one. And the 3 rooms you want to think about, and we'll talk about this more in just a second, but you want to think about kitchens, the master bedroom, and the master bath. If you can paint in those 3 to really make those 3 pop, everything else is going to work itself out. Okay, unless there's one room that's like Pepto-Bismol pink. If it's Pepto-Bismol pink, we got to paint it. Okay, because nobody wants Pepto-Bismol pink. Buyers do not want to do work when they come in the house. That is not this group of buyers that we're working with right now. They want to move in, turnkey, and be done. Give them something that's going to knock their socks off. Let's paint. Okay? So, again, ask us which rooms you think. Think of the idea of those 3 big rooms. But think before we list, biggest wow factor for the money, we're going to paint some rooms. Number 4, we're going to talk about the 3 rooms we just alluded to. Kitchen, master, master bath. In my 5+ years in real estate, it all comes down to those 3. They are a little different, okay? Sometimes it's the living room that's more, or excuse me, the master is more important. Sometimes the kitchen is more important. Right now, I mean, the kitchen's very important. It's the center of the house right now, okay? So everybody hangs out. There's cooking. There's all kinds of stuff going on. We want to create really spots that people want to be. That comes with the paint. We'd love to have granite countertops. If it's not granite, it's fine. Everything else has to work, though, okay? I'm not saying you have to do it, but in certain price points, if you don't have granite, you're going to see that in the purchase price that you get, okay? People are not going to pay top dollar if it doesn't have granite in it, okay? I'm not saying you can't sell it, but keep that in mind. If you want to sell and get top dollar, you might need to get some granite. Otherwise, you can update the faucets, update the poles and all the cabinets. You might be able to paint some of the cabinets. Get somebody professional to do that if you don't know how to paint, because painting cabinets is a different animal than painting walls. Okay, so if you don't know how, definitely want to hire a painter to do that, but that might help out. Flooring, maybe we need to replace some flooring. There's all kinds of things we can do in the kitchen, but I want to just focus on the kitchen. And the important thing about the kitchen is countertops. We want to clear them off as much as we can. Okay, there's stuff that you need. Lord knows I need coffee. You need a coffee pot on the counter. I completely get it. The things that you need stay on the counter. Everything else goes away. Okay, so we want the kitchen to be open. We want it to be bright. We want it to be new as we can, well painted, light. Okay, that's what we want for the kitchen. Master, you gotta think, master is that's the sanctuary of the house. A lot of the same stuff. You want it to be open. You don't want a lot of furniture in there that you don't need, especially if you've got like a big sitting area or whatever. Have like a little couch in there or some chairs in there, but have it be open. Have so much space that people are like, wow, look at the size of this room. You want the room to stand out, because those big 3 rooms, those are the 3 rooms that they're looking at the other houses, looking at the other stuff, this, that, whatever. But at the end of the day, those 3 rooms, if you hit home runs in each one of those 3 rooms, that's where it is. That's where you're going to get the deals. Okay, so master, that's what I want us to think about. Decluttering as much stuff off the dressers and the bureaus and everything that you need or that you can do. We wanted to, new paint if it needs new paint. Lots of natural light, so you want the blinds to be open. We want just a big sanctuary. Okay, then the master bathroom. This one, not as important to have granite countertops. That would be great, but if not, definitely want to get upgraded faucets. That's another very cheap replacement compared to the wow factor. People walk in and they know what builder grade faucets look like. We've all seen them. They all look terrible. Okay, it's a faucet, so who cares? But at the same time, if you walk in, you see it's got, the old school countertops, but you got upgraded faucets, upgraded lights. As long as it's not builder grade lights, builder grade faucets, and those are so cheap, comparatively to some of the other things you can do. Do those couple things, update some of the poles in there, be sure that the paint looks all right in there. So there you go. I mean, then all of a sudden, that's a very nice room. So you've got a really nice kitchen. It's bright, clean, not a lot on the countertops. You've got a really nice master bedroom that is wide open, light, is very welcoming. And then you've got that bathroom that's a spot that, you go at the end of the day, then you getting ready for bed or whatever, and you just want it to be open, you want it to be beautiful and all that stuff. I want you to think about those 3 rooms. The other rooms are important. You definitely don't want a complete train wreck in any of the other rooms, but the other rooms are okay, and those 3 rooms are home runs. You're in a really good spot. So keep that in mind. While we're focusing on some of the other rooms, focus on those 3 more than anything else. Number 5 thing I want you to think, we're going to get those carpets cleaned. Okay, now if you don't have carpets and you have wood floors, maybe get the wood floors cleaned. Get them a little bit, it's going to be a little bit shiny. Don't use mop and glow. Okay, I've got a carpet guy and a flooring guy that will tell you why you don't use Mop and Glow. Okay, not to say there's anything bad. I'm just saying don't use it. All right, and I'll tell you why if you want to ask me questions about it. But I would have somebody professional come in, clean those carpets for two reasons. Number one, it brings a little bit of life to the carpet. Okay, if the carpet's 7 years old, 8 years old, and you're thinking to yourself, I might need to replace this carpet. You get the carpets cleaned, it might give the carpets a little bit more like oomph, bring them back to life enough to get the house sold. Okay, number one. Number two, it's going to smell a lot better. All right, our houses smell a lot funkier than we think they do. Okay, now I got 6 kids, I got 3 dogs, I got 3 cats. My house, there are moments where my house is funky. All right, it's not me, it's everybody else. Okay. Anyway, so that being said, you want to get the carpets cleaned. It's going to help. If you paint, there's that smell of new paint. You clean the carpets too, all of a sudden when a buyer walks in the house, what are they going to smell? They're going to smell clean carpets, they're going to smell fresh paint. Without seeing anything, they're immediately going to think to themselves, this house is nice. Because clean carpets, fresh paint. Okay, they haven't seen anything, that smell hits them and that's it. Or they could walk in the house and they could smell 7-year-old carpet and no paint. Okay, so keep that in mind. The paint, even though the paint does make the room looks great, there's also there's a smell to it that gets out in the air and that people can smell. You know, it's not an overpowering thing, but everybody knows what that smells like. Clean carpets, fresh paint. Everybody knows what that smells like. That's a great thing for buyers. Okay, so if you're selling, keep that in mind. And that's something that we have a package that we do, the maximum equity package, where we cover carpet cleaning for our people. Okay, so that's something we do. We believe in it so much and we know the power of it so much that we actually provide that as part of our fees and everything. We provide that for the seller. Okay, so that is number 5. We are going to clean those carpets, clean those floors. We're going to have it looking nice. That's number 5. All right, the number 6 thing we're going to do, we're going to clean that house. And I mean, we're going to clean. Maybe you have to hire somebody to clean. That's fine. But we're going to clean that house. I've been doing this for over 5 years. I'll tell you something right now. There's nothing like being with a buyer, walking into a house that is not clean. And we're not talking about taking stuff off the counters. We're talking about cleaning the counters, sweep, mop. You may have to scrub some baseboards. You may have to do stuff like that. It is obvious when you walk into a house and it is dirty, you make all kinds of assumptions about the house, all kinds of assumptions about how well the house is taken care of, all kinds of assumptions about the seller. It is what it is, okay? We're trying to knock people's socks off, okay? Because as we go into this market, all right, this is not last year's market. Last year's market, if you raised your hand, the house would sell, okay? This is going to be a different market. This is a more typical market. And in a more typical market, you're going to have competition. So we're in the competition. We want to kick their butt, okay? This is how you do it. We told you all those other things. Talk about the decluttering. Talk about the depersonalization, the painting, this and that. As we get ready to go online and get ready to list, we are going to clean this house. We want to completely think to ourselves, we're going to knock their socks off when they walk in this house. You can't knock their socks off when they walk in the house if there's dirt all along the baseboards. You can't do that if there's fingerprints on the fridge, if there's smudges on the windows, things like that, okay? So you may have to hire somebody to clean your house, or just do it yourself, spend one weekend and say, we're just going to rock and roll and clean this house. But clean that house. We want to make a huge first impression. We want to completely knock their socks off when they walk in the house. That's the last part of our series here. Number 6, we're going to clean that house. Oh my goodness, why not? We're going to go bonus. It's bonus time. I said 6. We're going to do 7. Landscaping, curb appeal. This one, we could do a complete video on this of what you should do, okay? And depending on when you go on the market, sometimes from a curb appeal standpoint, the best time to go on the market is January. Everything's dead outside. Everything's dormant outside. Weeds aren't popping up. You know, things aren't overgrown. It is what it is. Sometimes the spring is a great time to sell because everything's blooming, everything's beautiful, but if you're not taking care of your yard, it looks like a mess. It looks like weeds are everywhere. Okay? So, landscaping, it's curb appeal. Okay? Because if we do all those other things that we just talked about, depersonalization, decluttering, all that stuff we just talked about, we're going to take pictures of it. It's going to look great. People are going to say, oh my goodness, that is fantastic. Let's go take a look at the house. They're going to drive up to the house and the house looks like a mess from the outside. That's the very first thing that they see when they pull in the driveway is the outside of the house. Okay? So what do we want to do? We want the outside of the house to look great. Okay, I'm not saying we need to spend $10,000 to put in new hedges, to put in new trees, to put in whatever. I'm saying you might need to put in some pine straw. You might need to put down some pine bark. You got to cut back some bushes. You got to cut that lawn. We got to edge, all that stuff. Get rid of some leaves. The front of the house is the front of the house. It's the first thing that people are going to see when they come up. It's got to look great. Okay. Again, we'll probably do videos more about that later down the road, and that's something we talk about with our people before they go on the market, what to do with the landscaping, because we have landscapers we work with too. But keep that in mind. That's the first thing people are going to see. If we do everything else great in the house and the outside looks crazy, they may not even come in the house. You never know. So keep that in mind. Landscaping. We want the outside to look great. That's going to bring them inside. If everything inside looks great, outside looks great, inside looks great, then we just sit around, wait for some awesome offers from those buyers on your house. So there you go. That is number 7. Okay, so there are now 7. It was going to be 6, but I threw in a bonus one. Okay, so those are the 7 things. If you get those done before you go on the market, and again, there's a timetable there. A lot of those you get done a couple months ahead of time. Some of those you get done a couple weeks ahead of time. Some of those you get done like right before pictures. We can walk you through that timeline. Okay, as far as, when should we do all of this stuff? Okay, like the decluttering, depersonalization, the painting, all that can take place over time. Then when talking about landscaping and cleaning, you really want that to be more, and the carpet cleaning, you want that to be more towards right when you go on the market. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's the timetable. But you want to be thinking about it. If we're thinking about doing something March or April or May of this year, we're getting there. It's the end of January. Now we're recording this January 26th. It's January 26th, and I mean, we were literally just up till midnight a couple weeks ago, watching the ball drop and watching the Georgia-Ohio State game right up to the buzzer, right at midnight. So that was literally like 2 minutes ago. Okay, so it's gonna go like that. So if you have plans of doing that, let's get on it right now. If you want more personalized, Steve, seriously, what do we do? This is something we do for our sellers. This is no obligation. We come out, we talk, and we've done this with plenty of people. Some of them work with us. Most of them work with us. Some of them don't. It is what it is, okay? You got to do what you got to do for your family. But that being said, we want to show our value by coming out and saying to you, hey, if you're getting your house ready, we work with, so many families. This is what we work with the families. This is what we've done. This is what you should do. And we'll help you get ready to get that house listed, get the house sold, get multiple offers. I've got a coach who used to say all the time, my 3 goals for you, okay, is to get you the most amount of money possible, get you sold as quickly as possible, and get you sold for as little headache as possible. Okay. Now, part of that is pricing. Well, we've done videos about pricing. You got to price it right. We can't overdo it. Okay, because if we overdo the price, we can't get it sold fast. Can't get it you with less amount of headache. Now you want to think to yourself, well, we go high and bring it down. The longer you're on the market, the less negotiating power you have, the worse your offers are going to be. We want to strike quickly. The faster we go, the better the offers we're going to get. Okay, so keep that in mind. But when we list, to do all those things, again, it's price. Okay, to get the most amount of money possible, done as quickly as possible, least amount of headache as possible. But if you do all those things we just talked about, that's going to help with that as well. So give me a call. Let me know. 470-233-4409, or my email is below. You can hit me up there. You can leave a comment here. I'm easy to get a hold of. Hit me up on social as well. And let's talk about it. How can we get your house sold this spring? This is Steve, Malone Realty Group with EXP in Atlanta. Take care. Bye. Hey, thanks for watching the video today. If you want more information on what's going on in the real estate market, take a look at some of these videos over here that we've posted, keeping up with what buying, selling, things that are going on in the North Georgia market. But if you want to keep up with everything that we post to our YouTube channel, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel down there, bottom right. That way you won't miss out on anything.